Hey guys, what is up? Man, today was a good episode. I'm kind of glad we just got one this time, so we have so many more weeks to talk about the incredible show, which is Invincible. And this episode was from season 3, episode 4, and it was called You Were My Hero. Now, I think this was a culmination of a lot of things that we needed to see from the show. We knew that there was that episode where these two twins are still in the Declaration of Independence, and we were wondering what was going on with that. Well, it turns out they were still in the Declaration of Independence to kill this evil person that they thought that if they shot this guy with the ink that came from the Declaration of Independence, it would kill them, which kind of had me wondering who that person actually was. And basically, these guys come back and then they grab our main character off onto a quest into a future timeline where they need him to take out this bad ruler. Now, I'm going to get into spoilers, so if you haven't seen the episode, fair warning because we're going to be talking all about the spoilers, but that just gives you a little bit of the plot. And hey, it's good, so check it out if you haven't. But with that being said, this episode had some cool surprises. I have to say, the beginning part was really good story. The ending part is what made me excited. But the beginning part, the whole thing with Dropkick and what was the other guy's name? Fight Master coming into the past to, get Mark and bring him into the future and him not wanting to, we're starting to see a change in Mark that I don't think we are accustomed to. And, seeing some of the dynamics there with that character and him not even willing to go until he's actually forced to, shows there's some changing with Mark, but he desperately is trying to make something work in his life. And so you can tell that he's trying to make Eve work. And, it was fun seeing them have their date, their romance, their time together. But this sets up some really cool things, for the future, I feel like, of asking questions about who Mark is. Now, the people, I had an issue with this show because they keep on hiring all these celebrity guests to be voice actors on the show. I might be wrong, but Zolo Marijuana, he is becoming a name, and he was in Blue Beetle. I don't know how much higher it costs to have him versus another voice actor, and I thought he was fine. It does make you wonder, though. There's so many voice actors out there. I wonder, still, again, like how much money could they be saving? Because it's the conversation as old as time. It's all over Twitter. Nobody cares about the voice actors they have on this show. Besides Omni-Man, besides Mark, everyone else is fine. Everyone else is great. But to have all these celebrity voice cast just seems kind of pointless, and it's like we could probably have much better animation if they didn't do that. But Zolo I don't really mind because I don't really think it probably cost. Maybe I'm wrong, but he's an upcoming actor. He's in that one movie, he's done a bunch of shows. I wonder the difference in price to have him in this role. And if it was super expensive, then yeah, they probably should have gotten a voice actor because he does a good job, but a voice actor would have just done just as good of a job, and it probably would have cost a lot less. But them coming into the show and them setting up the story, you knew something was up when they said that they tried to use the ink from the Declaration of Independence to kill this evil ruler. And so it did kind of make you wonder what that was about. But then to have Mark confront this so-and-so evil ruler, and it turns out that it's the Immortal Man, you're like, oh, okay, I get it now. Like, I get why that's the case. And of course, it didn't work, because that's not, what you can do to actually kill the Immortal. And, the fact that the Immortal had been doing this had basically become this ruthless ruler so that Mark would show up and so that Mark would finally take him out. I found that kind of interesting, but it also set up something that was even more interesting, which was the fact that the Immortal literally looks at Mark and says, I took upon this leadership role because you gave it to me. You made me the king, and I wasn't prepared to do this thing that you did. Which means that Mark conquered the earth, for better or worse, conquered the earth, and then gave it to Immortal. So does that mean that he became a villain, or what does that mean? They said he was a good ruler. The immortal was a good ruler until he became cruel and evil. So maybe Mark, becomes an authoritarian for the good, I guess you would say. I don't know, but clearly Mark was the original king of Earth, and he took over the Earth. Like, he straight up took over the Earth and became ruler before he skipped and left. So that's kind of interesting, that some questions that maybe we'll have for the character later on to see if he's willing to change his future, which I thought when he came back after doing what he does in the show, that we'll get into in a second, I thought it was interesting that him and Eve had that conversation, and she said, look, if you saw the future version of me, it doesn't mean that I'm going to be like that. And the same goes for you. It doesn't mean that you have to become the future version that you've seen as well. And, you can make different choices. So that was encouraging, but you can definitely see that Mark's going on a direction in his life that if he doesn't maybe become a little bit more accountable, that he may go down a darker path, like becoming a dictator of the world. I kind of missed this part, but at the very beginning, when he shows up at the Pentagon and confronts Cecil, he is taking actions where he is starting to go too far because of his anger. He is starting to take things too far, and honestly being kind of a hypocrite about what's right, what's wrong. He's starting to pass that line. And that's, I think, is going to be the biggest challenge for them this season. Even the person who's, Robert Kirkman, the guy who made the show, he's even said that the black and blue suit is kind of a callback to when Spider-Man dons the symbiote suit. Is that this is kind of like his symbiote era that we're seeing in this season right now. And you can definitely see that within the show, and I think they're doing that really well. Going back to Immortal, and especially Immortal being evil, there's something that's interesting about having the conversation of the punishment of time. And, the punishment of time for us is that we age and eventually die. But for someone like Immortal, who lives forever, the punishment of time is that he gets to see everyone he loves and cares about slowly fade away and die. Whereas, he himself is fine. And he said something kind of interesting, that, that Mark is the exception to that. That Mark gets to have his family. And it kind of makes me wonder, like, clearly eventually Mark's mother will die and pass away. And, he'll have his brother as long as Oliver stays alive. He'll have his father as long as his father stays alive. And any future children he has, there is the assumption that either his children will live for extremely long times, and they may die eventually, but they'll live really, really long times. Or, yeah, that would be the assumption, right? And I kind of wonder if they're teasing something with Eve, that maybe Eve will live longer than we expect her to. I think she will age. That's my assumption, that it would make sense for her to age and then eventually pass away. But I'm not totally sure on that. So that was kind of interesting within itself. But these guys will live a very long time, and we know that. And, for Immortal, though, to lose everyone he loves, it drove him nuts. It drove him crazy. And so I thought that was really interesting, and an interesting perspective to play through, to acknowledge, yes, those things, the burden of time weighs on you. It can drive you crazy if you're the only one there living through it that you care about, and everyone else is gone. The choices that, Mark has to make to kill him, goes into the darker side of Mark that, we're going to see, I think, continue to progress. I mean, he does what he needs to do to save that timeline, to save that planet. But, I kind of wonder if that version of Mark comes back to Earth. Would that version of Mark put the Immortal Man together now that the Immortal Man doesn't have to, have control over the whole world anymore? Maybe the dude wouldn't be as crazy. I don't know. The thing that was getting into the good stuff. Okay, so that was all fun. Him coming back, going on the dates with Eve, spending some time with Eve. All those things were great. Okay, all those things were great. But let's get into the stuff we really want to talk about, which is the very end. You know, they do that thing where they're playing like it's the end of the show, and then you realize it's not. They got way more to do. They got way more to show us. And having Alan breaking out Omni-Man finally, like we've been waiting for this to happen. Honestly, I wish it would have happened last episode, but you know, they still were kind of teasing it. Well, here we come. It's happening. And not only is it happening, but we get to see our favorite battle beast come into the picture and fighting all the Viltrumite. Now, I'm not someone who's read all the comics. I've started from the very beginning. I want to read from the beginning and go all the way through just so I can see the differences between the animated show and the comics. But I don't know if there's many other versions of Battle Beast, like his species. I don't know if they're killed off and he's the last one. Maybe he's like a Lobo character where he's killed all of his kind because they were the most powerful that compared to him. And now he's trying to fight some Viltrumites. But that character is really, really cool. I really dig Battle Beast. He's a really cool character. And the last time we saw him, he almost killed Invincible. Like, he came super close to killing Invincible. And so it was really cool to see that character. And finally, Omni-Man, like, finally being willing to live. Like, come on, dude. Like, the whole time we're watching the show, it's like, dude, are you not willing to live? Like, a little bit? Like, a little bit? Like, you've caused a lot of problems that you need to fix. And if you're gone, it's like he was accepting the fact that if he dies, they're coming after his kids. They're coming after his loved ones. Like, why are you so willing to die? Don't you have something to fight for? And so I'm glad that he finally did the right thing and helped fight off the Viltrumites and try to live. And so that was just a fun sequence, a lot of fun action that I really, really, really enjoyed and appreciated. But yeah, it makes me excited for what else we're gonna see. I think we're gonna be promised some really cool stuff. Now, the question I have because I don't think Battle Beast can fly. I don't think he's a flying character. He's super, super strong, all these other things. But I don't think he's a flying character. So I kind of wonder, you know, Alan and Omni-Man didn't know where he was. So maybe they find him. I mean, I'm kind of wondering where that is going to, you know, come up again. And when he's going to come up again. I'm a little bit spoiled on that character. So I know a little bit that happens in the future for him. But anyway, it's something I'm very curious about. But yeah, guys, we still need some more people that are at the level of a Viltrumite. But if we could get a Battle Beast, if we can get an Alan, we got Omni-Man, we got Invincible, we got Oliver. You know, we're filling up our roster of guys who could compete with a Viltrumite. So that's pretty cool to see. We'll have to see what happens in the future. But anyway, guys, what did you think of this episode? I meant to add this. I did enjoy the stuff with Rex. It just didn't seem as important. It was just a way to get from one story to another story. But everything with the Rex and them at the beginning with the grocery store was funny. The setup at this, you know, when they were looking at the bomb that was recording, the camera that was recording them, and the scenes with the robot and all that stuff. All that was really, really good. It's just, you know, I was kind of more focused on the other parts of the show, but those elements at the very beginning were really good as well. But anyway, guys, enough about what I think. What did you guys think? Let me know in the comments down below what you guys thought. Are you enjoying this season of Invincible? Do you think it's the best season yet? I'd be curious to know your thoughts. Anyway, guys, whatever you're doing, wherever you're going, I hope you're having a good one. Peace.